So, good afternoon. This is Sean at PrintAPot. We're going to take a look at a wooden canoe today. One of the big keywords on Etsy right now is wooden, like large wooden box planter, or I think it was like a large wooden planter. So we're going to make one, and it's going to look like a canoe. So the first thing I did was I showed my origin. I've got, what we're going to do is look at first is how this thing stands up and take a look at it. Just one second. All right. So um, now this canoe, since we're kind of constrained by our XY axis, we're going to look at another dimension, which is the Z axis. Now, in terms of, this is what you kind of have to consider when designing for a 3D printer. If I print with just one nozzle, I can print something that's 8.5 by 8.5 inches, or 215 millimeters. But that's not very big. It's like a sheet of a paper, width-wise. It's not very big. But if I print straight up, I can make a pot as big as a sheet of paper, 11 inches, 11.8 inches, or 300 millimeters. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to design a pot that we can print vertically. And we're just going to take a quick look at it today. So, like I said, one of the first things I like to do is turn on the origin here. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to give our dimensions. So we're looking at a pot that is around probably 200 millimeters wide. So we're going to take this line, we're going to drag it out about 100 in this direction. Lock that shape in there. And we're going to do the same thing in the other direction. Okay, so that's going to be the base of our canoe. If you had an outboard, that would be where it sits. But we're not building an outboard. We're building what is called a wooden dugout canoe. If you've ever been to Virginia, where the Virginia State in U.S., if you've ever been there and you've seen some of the Native American examples of canoes they used to build, they would take a single tree and they would carve it out over and over again. Carve it out, light it on fire, burn out the inside. Carve it out, light it on fire, burn out the inside. And what that would do, it would make a very, very strong and resistant shape, because when they would burn it, they would actually melt the oils into the wood of the boat. But we can skip all that because we're using a wooden filament that has those resins already built in. We can make something watertight today that holds against water and can actually float. That's not the point we're trying to make, but it's kind of cool to consider that. So here's our basic shape. We want this to go about 300 millimeters tall, and we're going to see what it looks like. So to make this simple, we're going to create a construction line. I've turned on construction here. See the dotted line, construction. 300 millimeters is up here. So you can see this is, I can make a pretty big boat, but this is about at the limit of the printer. In fact, we'll leave it that way, because I can always just scale it down a little bit. I'll probably have to, but that's not very fun to start off with. You want to start off with something cool. So spline is fun. We're just going to go up here, click here. Oh, that looks like we don't want it to be like that, but actually we do. What we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to just turn it sideways till we have a good point. And I'm going to take this line, we're going to stop it at 15 here. I don't know if I like that shape. Because it should be wider. So we'll take this one here. And we're going to take this and we're going to make it horizontal because I don't want to play around with it anymore like that. So we added a constraint that makes it horizontal. That makes it a little easier to play with. I want this to be a nice vertical line coming up here and then have it curve in towards the nose. Okay, there we go. And the length of this is 46. And I'm putting that there just to constrain the spline. Give it a number. See, all the lines I have so far are black. That's a good sign whenever you're making a sketch. And then we're going to mirror it. Here's our mirrored object here. Mirror line is here. And we're done. We got our first profile. This is the general shape of our canoe as it stands right now. It's almost too big. And I think we're going to delete this right here. So what we're going to do to change that is we're going to change. I feel like it's actually too wide. Because if I look at this on my calipers, 200 millimeters. 200 millimeters wide. That's a big planner. 130 millimeters tall. So 200 millimeters wide. If you've got hands like I do, which aren't that big but aren't that small either, they're about a hand width. If you've got a spare inch ruler around, it's just under 8 inches. Yeah, it's just under 8 inches, which makes sense for the specifications. But 300, it's going to be a rather big boat. As big as we can make. So the next thing we're going to do, the current idea behind this design, there's a couple of ideas I could make. But to make it really simple, what we could do is we could just take this right here. We're going to just use simple ideas right now. Take, see, I'm going to take, I think, the the XZ plane. We're going to offset that by, how high should our boat be? How deep do you really run a planter? Keeping in mind that it can only be about 200 millimeters deep. Which again is 8 inches. I can't imagine wanting this any more than about 5 inches. So taking a look at a ruler here, I'm going to look at 130 millimeters, just over 5 inches. So here we are down here. And what we're going to do next is we're going to create a sketch on this plane here. A single point. In fact, I think we're just going to project the origin down there. It's useful to work around the origin and the center points and the axes that already exist. It makes things a little bit easier later on. Now I want to see what happens. We're going to just take a loft. Loft is one of my favorite things to do. We're going to take it and we're just going to go boom, like that. Now this doesn't look like an attractive shape yet, but we're going to change that. We're going to change this to point tangent. Oh, it just got weird. Secret warning. Non-smooth neighborhood of point. Well, that's interesting. Direction. Okay, it doesn't like that we're doing that. Well, that's not going to work doing it like that. Now, the next thing would be to do would be to try to design the bottom here. Yeah, let's do that. So we have this projected point here. This will be our third sketch. Let's see. Now, sketch 1, I like to label these as you go. It makes it a little easier. Sketch 1 was our longboat profile. Sketch 2 was projected origin. And that's a negative 130 millimeters in the y direction. 130 millimeters y projected origin. And this third sketch is the one I'm working on right now. So we're going to take, this is not letting me act, this is not acting very normally, so we're going to have to project this first. Project that point. And project that point too. So we're going to tell exactly where we want this. Why is that acting like that? I thought I projected that point. You guys saw me project it, right? Project. Yeah, I did. Okay. Don't go away. That's the point we want to project. And we're going to do something similar here. Take this, move it horizontal, declare it as horizontal so it's nice and easily controlled. And is that a good shape for our canoe? Doesn't seem like a good shape. I would make it wider, but possibly more shallow. But we want it to be a pot, so we'll make it just a little bit wider. We might have to streamline this top edge later. Could also make this a wood boat, like a, what is that word? A mud skiff. But we're not going to do that right now. So that looks good right there. We're going to take this and we're going to mirror it as well. Our center line will be that opposite side there. Got our object selected. Our mirror line is going to be this axis. See if I can do that. Let me do that. Nope. Second, I have to draw the mirror line. Line, construction. Here's my mirror line. Take the object. Take the mirror line. Okay, so now we should have a profile. And if we take, you notice this hasn't turned orange, like this top part's orange and you can click on it. This bottom part isn't yet. And that's because this profile is not there and it doesn't actually complete. And this is actually an empty top half if you don't include the other sketch. So what we'll do is we're just going to include the other sketch. There. So I projected the bottom of the other sketch into this one and we're good to go. And that gives us a nice area to work on. Let's try the loft again. If the loft doesn't work, we have to try a bunch of other things that get more complicated as you do them. But this should work. Oh no, non-smooth neighborhood of point. Try something different this time. Ooh, I can make this form interesting shapes. Look at that. That looks like a boat already. I think we're almost done. Now I could stop right now and do this. I could just go boom, modify, shell it out, and inside thickness. See, inside thickness, we'll go for 4 millimeters today. Oh, that's strange. 5 millimeters. Okay, I don't think maybe I haven't finished the body. This is a body, right? See, I got this body 1. It's bottom face, top face, shell. I don't think I'm missing anything there. 1. 10. Oh, that's really unusual. Oh, there's a trick to this. Are you ready? Here we go. We're going to do the next trick. We'll do it manually. Sometimes that doesn't work. We'll do it manually. You take this, you just grab the whole outside sketch, you offset it by, what did I say, -4? Nope, wrong way. Just regular 4. Here we go. Take this here, extrude it. The distance to the object will go to the back face. To the back face, all along there. See, and our object, we should really select both. I can't select both. So I seem to be selecting faces. That's okay. And for an offset, we're going to do -4. What about +4? Oh no. This is what makes designing fun, is when the things start doing things like this. Why is that having so much trouble with this? 2. So if I start at 4 and I extrude directly in, I get this. And it's not a very complicated shape. So I'm struggling to understand why it can do 2, can do 1, but when I ask it to do 4, it just fails. Most likely has something to do with this side up here. This probably right here, this distance is trying to extrude, is less than 4. So when I say 4, it's like, hey, I can't even get to that face in 4. Offset. Put a taper degree on here. This is obviously not the right way to do it. Not yet, anyway. There's going to be another way to do it. For now, this is kind of an interesting way to take a look at the shape. And we've got a shape, a planter. Does not sit flat yet, which is kind of essential for pottery. But here is a starting shape. You see on the bottom, I've got a weird kind of incline. Now, if you want to see it as a boat, see if I can rotate this. It's not helping me. So we look at it from the right side. if I look at it from this side, and I can set this current view as, nope, I don't want to set it as top. We'll set this like this. We'll set this current view as top. Uh-oh. Sketch. Undo. 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 Oh, that sure was interesting. Okay, so somehow I've really messed up my thing here, so let's reset the front. Turn off my sketches. Wow, somehow in that big rush I've lost my extrusion. How interesting. You can see I still have my offset value here. And we're going to try one more time. I don't know if I really want to try. This is the part where I should just be able to take a shell. Outside. 2. That doesn't like it either. You know, I think it would be fun? If you take an object, like this back plane here, or just the body in general, on this object here, you see, select the body. Can't select the body. And we'll go 4 millimeters away from it. Let's go -4 because I see it moved the wrong direction. Negative. -4. We're going to go one direction all the way. That didn't work, did it? Cut. Well, for what should be a simple shape, this is really getting unusual. Now, some requirements we're going to have to meet later on. I'm going to have to cut this out here. I hope you've enjoyed. Part of what we do on the Aspiring Designs thing is try to inspire people, try to share ideas in the community. We have a Discord that we'd like you to join. Take a look. Share your ideas on there, inspire each other. You know, one thing I always struggle with is, how do I start this design? I get stuck and I need ideas. Well, I think you need ideas too. As a designer, you might have a bunch of ideas, but you don't know where to start. Well, come join us. We'll give you a place to start. We'll help inspire you. We'll show you where to find inspiration, and we'll get you started. Hope to see you. Subscribe. It's only $5 a month right now, and we got so much to offer. Thanks. Have a great day.